What secret is your poop trying to tell you about your health? Yes, we're going to be talking about that word, poop, today. I mean, I don't know. Come on. Isn't some of this stress that's going on right now causing changes in the number twos? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But yes, still talking about some poops. So I'm so glad you guys are joining me today, and you guys are in for a huge treat. I'm going to put this down here. You guys can know exactly what we're talking about today. in case you're already just shocked and like, I don't know what's going on here. Why are we talking about poop? But today I'm so excited because you're in for a treat. Today I'm joined by Kelly Couch. Let me bring her in here so she can join us. Let me see here. Let's see. Let me move this here. Let's take this off. There we go. Yay! Hey, Kelly.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So I'm joined today. You guys are in for a treat because I'm joined today by Kelly Couch. She is a former ER physician assistant turned functional health coach extraordinaire and mom of two cute, fiery little girls. She's going to be sharing today some of her top tips for improving your immune system so that your number twos are like number one.
I know. It's crazy. I actually love to talk about poop, and I don't even have boys. Like, you have boys, so I think you need to get on board here and let's talk about poop more.
Yes. And those of you who are joining us on Instagram, you're in the cheap seats today. So you're going to need to come join us over on Facebook on 3 Life Essentials. So you can get all the juiciness from Kelly because she's going to be sharing with us a ton of stuff today. And I don't know, some of you may be like, you know what? I need to talk about poop today because I need to change the subject, right? We need to change like what's going on in our feeds or whatever. So how many of you, show me with like the little hand raise emoji, how many of you are feeling like you're just under a great deal of stress right now? I have my hand raised too. I know Kelly does too. So if you're watching on the replay or the recording, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to leave your comments, your questions. Kelly and I'll be back to answer and respond to those in the next few hours and days. So give us some hearts and likes. It helps us kind of engage here as a community as we're going more online, right? To be able to kind of connect right now. This is the next best thing to being in person. So, but today is Free Friday. So we're going to be free from constipation, free from diarrhea, free from trouble in the bathroom, free to change your poop, free to address the root issue, free to learn something new, and maybe free to even be distracted by talk other than viruses.
Yeah.
So I have a gift for all of you. If you would like access to Kelly Couch's free 5-day food, mood, poop journal, say that 5 times fast, and a full written guide to today's Free Friday, just type in the comments, poop. Yes, be brave and just write it. And I'll make sure you get them. And throughout the live today, if you're watching on the replay, anytime you hear something that is awesome, a new idea or a nugget that you want to hold on to that Kelly shares, I want you to type in the comments hashtag Free Friday, and I'll enter you to receive our free, actually, I don't even have it here. We have, let's see if I have it. Oh, yep, our free squeeze tool. I feel like today's topic gives like a whole new meaning to this squeeze tool. I don't know. Oh, good. Already. Look, see, someone has already been brave and is sharing the word poop. Anyway, thank you, Melinda, for being brave and saying you want this info. This is our fun little squeeze tool because you know how when you get annoyed getting all the last bits out of your toothpaste or your mud mask or whatever it is, and it reminds you to oil up too. So I'm going to give that away to someone today who has a new idea or a nugget they want to hold on to. And we'll also be sharing Kelly's 10 tips to healthy digestion. So sprinkle this amongst your people. Go ahead and click the button below, and don't keep this information to yourself, because there's somebody else that's dealing with these issues, right? So, and those of you who are new joining us, my name is Amy Miller. I help moms of little ones bring some natural solutions and holistic resources into their everyday lives, simplifying life and health and spirit so that they can spend time enjoying their family instead of worrying about all the things. Right, Kelly? I know you want to be there too. You're like, I'm there too. So let's get into this. I hear you, moms. Maybe you're moms who are juggling way more than you can handle right now, and you don't normally put your needs first. And I know you may feel like, ain't nobody got time for this. What in the world does poop have to do with social distancing? And how is that possibly connected to my immune system? I promise there's a connection. And Kelly's going to share with us why our poop is such a big deal, even at a time like this. And no, this doesn't have anything to do with like your stash of toilet paper or your lack of stash of toilet paper. And even though some of this is a little bit of comic relief too, we do want to be serious about some things that are going on and really take some of these things seriously. So if you want to see results in the bathroom, or at least if you're ready to help one of your kids dealing with one of this, let's get into this. So help us all out here, Kelly. Like, first of all, what even is a functional health coach? Because what does that even mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. So in my past career as a physician assistant in the emergency department, which I loved, my job was to identify disease, treat it, make sure nobody was going to die in the next 24 hours, and then get them out of the ER. We actually called it treat and street. It's a terrible, terrible way to think about patient care, but that was my job. And as I saw more and more chronic disease, and as my own family got sick with toxic mold illness, I just started, man, there's got to be a better way. And for me, that better way is functional nutrition or functional health coaching. So my job and my passion is to help people truly heal and feel amazing again. And we do that by identifying what some of the root causes might be to disease. And we're going to explain that a little more as we jump into this today. But a lot of the people I work with have either already seen multiple physicians and they just don't have an answer for their mystery symptoms, or a lot of people are just, let's face it, confused by all the information on all the blogs and all the Googling out there. And some people just don't really know where to start. And honestly, my favorite group of people, which may apply to your followers here, because you are such an amazing educator, Amy. I'm just so grateful for what you do for families and kids and traveling families and professionals. I mean, you guys that follow Amy regularly know you have such a gift here. What incredible resource she is. And you guys might notice we both have the similar background, both RV families. It's one of the way we created. We're not actually mirroring our cool backdrop. But Amy, you do such an awesome job educating. And so one of the people I love to work with the most are actually men and women who have been well educated. They really do know what to do. They kind of know the basics of diet and lifestyle, but for some reason the pieces just aren't going together and they're not doing it. They haven't figured out how to make it work in their life. And so functional health is really trying to find that root cause, but a coach is someone who gets in it with you. So your doctor might see you every 3 months or every 6 weeks or something like that. I'm going to work with you typically twice a month, and we're going to have a ton of app-based interaction in between so that we can really help you with the day-to-day, right? Your doctor may say, for example, have your kid eat more kale, and you're like, Kelly, they hate kale. I do, right? And so I love to just get in the nitty-gritty with people. And yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about poop.
I love that. Well, you know what? Is anybody else going like, I need a coach in my life. I need somebody who will get in the nitty gritty with me, right? Because maybe you've already been there. You've been going to the doctor and you're like, I'm not getting all the answers that I need. And I love that it's like you're somebody who's walking alongside someone who already knows some of the basics. So if you're just joining us, are we really talking about poop? Yes, we are talking about poop today. So like why are we even talking about poop? Like as a time at a time like this, like how does this tie into what's going on?
Yeah. Oh man. So we had actually talked about doing this and talking about poop a few weeks ago before this even hit. And then when it hit, Amy and I talked and we were like, are we still going to talk about poop? And I was like, yes, because there's so much talk out there about the immune system right now, rightly so. We need to talk about immune health and immune function. But I'm just here to tell you, as your friend and your coach, running out and buying all the vitamin C or toilet paper off the shelf now is not going to do it by itself. It's a wonderful thing to do, and there's some things that you could add to your routine, but doing that alone is not going to do it. And what I'm passionate about is helping people live a lifestyle of a strong body, a lifestyle of immune support. And what we do in my clinic, we say something called back it up a lot. We don't mean back up the toilet. We mean when we see something, a symptom or a disease state or something happening, we want to back it up in the body through the different body systems. So for example, mood, emotion, immune function, respiratory function. We can actually track stages of all of these organs all the way back to the digestive system. The digestive system is so intricately involved in our immune function. For example, to make white blood cells, those are the parts of the immune system that we need a lot of functioning well right now. And some of them are these little Pac-Man molecules, these macrophages. Do y'all remember Pac-Man? Did I just date myself?
You did, but it's okay. We're there with you.
So the Pac-Mans of our white blood cells, our macrophages, come and literally gobble up viruses, gobble up bacteria. So this would be a time that I would think we would want those functioning. Well, you need certain vitamins and certain minerals to produce those white blood cells. And guess where you get them? From your diet and from your food. People think that you just eat because pizza tastes good and it comes out and however it comes out. We'll talk about that later. And that's just all there is to food. But the way that our entire body works is nutrients and energy and things that we get from our food. And if we can't get that stuff out of this tube that goes from our mouth to our toilet into our body where it can be used, we're going to suffer disease. And the immune system is one of the first places that you'll see dysfunction when your digestion, for several reasons, isn't working. And we can talk about that more in just a second.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So this is putting some pieces together for me. And this is why I wanted to bring Kelly on, because she is, I mean, I said she's functional health coach extraordinaire, but I thought you guys thought I was the research queen. Kelly puts me to shame with research and like bringing in all the info, and she could talk for days with us on even just this topic, but she doesn't have the time for that. And so I think she's bringing so much value to us right now that we really need to listen up. And because we've dealt with this, we've worked with Kelly even with digestion in our own family. And at points in my life, I've dealt with just digestion issues. So I think it's something that affects us at different points, maybe if we're not even being affected by it right now. So what about this? You mentioned kind of gut health. Like, tell me a little bit more about all of that, because we've been talking about loving your gut, and we talk about how that's kind of connected to your immune support, your immune system. But why is that important right now too?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I mentioned that, I've been educating lately about an immune lifestyle. Okay, I do think there's a few things that you guys can do to boost the immune system during this time and protect your family. Essential oils are, of course, huge. Vitamin C is huge. Vitamin D, getting sunlight, some great things. And there's a lot of people talking about all that. But I call it the terrain. Okay, so if you think of a tree planted, we know it has roots that go down deep. So in those roots, in root cause medicine, we talk about what's the root of disease a lot. Well, think about where those roots live. Those roots live inside of soil. And your body, there's a terrain that your body exists in, and I like to call it the soil. There's something called epigenetics. It's a fancy word if you haven't heard of it. It's basically that genes are only one part of the picture. We have genes and they can predispose us to things, but the things that cause those genes to literally turn on and off or show up in our life or cause disease has to do with epigenetics. And epigenetics is the terrain that surrounds the genes. And one of the number one things that we have control over, that we have influence over, is epigenetics. What lifestyle choices are we bathing our genes in? And nutrition and diet is one of them that directly affects gut health. I'm going to take a tiny pause and talk about autoimmune disease just for a minute, because I think it links so closely to the immune system. Research now shows that there's 3 things necessary for an autoimmune disease to actually cause you symptoms. One of those is genetics and the epigenetics that surround it. The other 2, are you taking notes? Are you guys ready? I want somebody to type it in the comments so I know you heard me. 1 is genes. 2 is something called the microbiome, or the good and bad bacteria that live in your gut. What does that have to do with autoimmune disease? Research is showing that the good and bad bacteria and the balance of that live in your gut is a huge factor in the expression of autoimmune disease. And the third thing is the integrity of your intestines, or the gut lining, or something that we call leaky gut when there's disease. Who's heard of leaky gut before? Those 3 things are necessary to see an autoimmune condition come out. And what a lot of autoimmunity is inflammation. Well, as we link that back to current times and our immune system, when we have our body working hard to heal our gut, when we have our body working hard even to digest our food, when we're not helping it do a good job, we don't have the nutrition that we need for a strong immune system. The inflammation that's caused means our body has to fight that inflammation, and we're not able to mount a proper immune response. People that have poor gut health across the board will see more colds and flus and viruses and illness. So gut health is super, super important. Amy, can I give people an example of what leaky gut is? I feel like we talk about leaky gut a lot, but do we really know what it is and why it is so important for everyone? I think that would be helpful. For that?
I do too. Yes. Because I've had experience with leaky gut before, but I never heard about it until I actually went to a medical doctor who had some training with some of this stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of people are experiencing it.
And you can share this with your kids. So imagine a castle, an old school castle, and it has the little wall and then the up thing and then the little wall. You all know what I'm talking about, right? It has a castle and you have these like scallops across the top. Okay. So imagine your castle, and the castle wall is designed to keep things in and out, right? Keep the bad guys out and help keep your good guys in. Okay. You can imagine that as your gut, your intestines, actually. So your digestive system is composed of your stomach, your small intestine, and your large intestine. We think of gut and we might just think stomach, but a lot of the dysfunction actually happens in the intestine, and leaky gut happens in the intestine. And so you could think of this castle wall as your intestines. And actually what your small intestine actually is more like a hose. It's part of the tube from your mouth to your toilet. And if you think of the inside of that hose for a minute, it looks like, do you remember the church in the steeple? Here's all the people. Okay, so this, if you make a circle, your small intestine looks like this, and there's all these microvilli. Okay, so here's your small intestine. There's all these finger-like projections sticking into the inside of your small intestine. And so if you flip that up, you could kind of consider that a little bit of your castle wall. You have these microvilli that are in there. And inside of your small intestine is also a host of good bacteria, healthy pathogens that are called our microbiome, that are actually in symbiosis with us. They work with us to keep us healthy. Well, when our castle wall gets destroyed, so if you think of your castle wall, I'm just going to draw it real quick. Okay, so if you think of your castle wall here, right here, I'm going to draw for you real quick. Okay, excuse my art. I'm just the worst. Okay, this is supposed to be a knight. Okay, this is supposed to be a big, strong knight. So your nights are going to be positioned in these gaps here on the wall, okay? And your nights are also going to be all along the wall. And these nights partly are the bacteria living in your gut that are supposed to keep away the bad guys. But when these nights get taken off the wall, you're left with literally these gaps in your protection. And that means that when you are exposed to a virus or a stomach bug or a parasite or something like that, you don't have these good guys to fight it off, and they get access into your castle, and they wreak all kinds of havoc. So one of the things that your healthy bacteria does is it helps to keep bad guys out. And when you don't have enough healthy bacteria, you don't have enough nights on the wall to keep the bad guys out. And that contributes to a significant amount of disease. But the other thing that happens in the gut is certain foods can cause inflammation. So you've all heard of celiac probably. So celiac is an extreme form of gluten intolerance. And what happens in celiac is we can see that due to the inflammation caused by specifically gluten, those microvilli, those finger-like projections, are literally scrubbed down to lumps. And there's no longer microvilli in the small intestine. Well, what does that matter? Well, one of the things your microvilli do is absorb nutrients. So if you don't have enough microvilli, guess what you might not be able to absorb? Zinc, vitamin C, even if you're ingesting it, B vitamins, so many things. So digestion and the ability to absorb those nutrients is so important. You can take vitamin C all day long. You can take zinc all day long. But if you're not able to get it out of the small intestine into your body where the immune system can use it, it's not going to help you.
Wow. Okay. So my question then is, how do we know if we maybe are dealing with leaky gut or need to change something or look into something further then?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to consider in the terrain. There's so many things that go into the digestive health. And honestly, many people that come to me in my clinic will first say, I'll have them do the food, mood, poop journal, and they'll say, I don't really have any digestive problems. But in the food, mood, poop journal that you definitely want to get, so don't forget to type poop. This is going to kind of be like your detective. If you like being a detective, you might be able to put some pieces together on your own. I also want to say, for those of you that just overwhelmed you, that might be a good opportunity for you to look for a coach so that we can help you. So don't get overwhelmed. We don't need any more overwhelm. But the food, mood, poop journal is a great way to start putting patterns together and find things that could be affecting you. And here's what I see in the food, mood, poop journal all the time. Because in this journal, you're going to see 3 columns. And on the first column, you're going to write down what you eat. And on the second column, we call it mood because it rhymes. But really, it's any symptom. So it could be emotional symptoms. It could be headaches. It could be body aches. And then in the third column, there's going to be a place for, to write down your poop. And you don't want to just write down that you pooped. You want to write down how big your poop was. You want to write down what color your poop was. You want to write down what shape your poop was. You want to write down if it was hard or small, if it hurt. You want to write down throughout the day if there's gas associated or cramping or whatever, any symptoms. And then we together can start to identify what might be linked there. And here's what I see all the time. I don't have any digestive symptoms. My gut is fine. And we do this food, mood, poop journal, and we notoriously see in the poop column a little heartburn or some cramping or some gas or some diarrhea, or maybe they didn't go to the bathroom that day. And when I get to talking, I'm like, what do you think of those symptoms? And here's what I hear all the time. Well, that's just normal for me. Friends, that's not just normal. That's not the way God created us, and it's not the way our guts are supposed to function. Digestive symptoms are not normal. And in fact, if you notoriously notice that you get gassy with certain foods and you just blame it on that food, you're actually doing some damage. You're causing some inflammation in the gut. And so these are things we would want to work through. But the really fun thing that I get to see, especially with kids, this is great to do with your kids. The really fun thing I do is in the mood column. And you'll start to see patterns of, wow, my kid had a total meltdown. And oh my goodness, maybe they didn't poop today, or maybe they ate a certain food and we see a pattern there. We'll see these patterns when we do a few food, mood, poop journals and work through them together. And it's really incredible. And Amy, one more quick thing on poop. You can put up the stool chart if you'd like, but I warn you guys, this is not for the faint of heart. I'm about to show you pictures of poop. And when you look at the Bristol stool chart, you can look at like, what should your poop look like? And most people are going to say, well, I have all of these different shapes and sizes at different points throughout the week or the month. And that's another clue to say, okay, your digestion may need a little help, because what we want to see is nice, formed, solid, soft poops around that 4 area, maybe that 3 area. What we don't want to see is number 1, these little hard balls, that's constipation. And what we don't want to see is number 7, these loose stools or these little like rabbit droppings. And I'm telling you, your kids will love this. Your kids will be so excited to tell you about their poop, boys and girls. I thought when I had girls, I was going to get to avoid talking about poop, but my husband has talked them into talking about poop now, even before I was a health coach. So we talk about poop a lot. Hey, did you poop? What did it look like? They come out and tell me, Mama, it was hard balls. And so we know we need to make some adjustments. And so these are huge, huge clues. And one of the big clues on this lower end where stools start to get maybe a loose or a little gassy or a little slimy. Sometimes you can even see that they're a little greasy, a little shiny. Those are big clues to food intolerance or food sensitivities. We can look at some of the way the poop is formed and smells, believe it or not, and looks, and we have a clue to maybe some things in the diet that are not helping you heal. Is that helpful? Are you guys all ready to like journal all about your poop?
We flipped here. Well,
it's okay.
Is anybody else like a little like taken aback by what maybe you've just seen, or maybe you're realizing now for the first time that what you thought was normal is not normal? I feel like there's a realization sometimes for people that like you just said, that's just the way it is. So I'm so thankful to you, Kelly, for coming on today and sharing so much with us. I invite all of you to just become more informed about what's going on in the bathroom with your whole family, including yourself. And I was able to snag from Kelly some generous 30-minute complimentary strategy sessions. Now she's limited on time, especially with blizzards going on. I didn't mention that Kelly is in Laramie, Wyoming right now, and we have a thunderstorm going on right now just outside Houston, Texas. So, so she's limited on time, but I was able to grab those and if you'll use the code Amy Miller, does it need to be in all caps, Kelly?
Doesn't matter.
So just use the code Amy Miller and you will get that session. We'll be sharing the, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're running late on time, but I just want to give a couple of, before we close, I want to just give some tips because I don't want to leave people with like, oh my gosh, what, my poops are a mess and this castle analogy and leaky gut and all that.
Yes, so yes. It's like a speedy recap, Kelly.
Yeah, let me give you a really quick tips. So, as we look at this and as we look at immune support and digestion, so here's a couple of tips that you can implement really immediately. And one of those is replacing those good nights in the digestive system. So probiotics are a really big thing to be taking right now in light of everything going on with our immune system. Probiotics are huge. So I'd highly, highly recommend probiotics. You can get with Amy. One of doTERRA has PB Assist and PB Assist Junior for children, and it's a wonderful product. I would highly recommend that. So PB Assist Junior from doTERRA and PB Assist for adults is amazing. It's really important to take probiotics right now. Another thing that you can do, and I know this is a little bit harder, and this is what I work with a lot of my clients on, but you can start, and Amy gives some great tools for how to do this, is eliminating some of those inflammatory foods. So starting to eliminate gluten, Dairy is actually really important right now because mucus production it can cause. Sugar is an anti-nutrient. It takes more out of your body to metabolize sugar than what sugar gives you. So it severely depresses your immune system. So if you've never done a Whole30 or something like that with Amy, these are things that would be really critical right now, especially as we're all just like sitting home and can't go to the grocery store as much. Don't be tempted to grab all those boxed foods. Try to stick with your produce. And for right now, because produce is a little bit harder to get, a green drink is really helpful. Again, Terrazyme is a great one. And Terra Greens, I'm sorry, is a great one. That's from doTERRA. Amy, you can tell them about. And one last thing I just can't get off without mentioning, and we can talk about it maybe another time, but stress is such a big factor on the immune system. Stress actually decreases natural killer cells, one of the white blood cells that is so needed right now to attack viruses. Stress itself and high cortisol will decrease that. And so grabbing your stress oils, I love Adaptive. I have it going every day. Doing what you can to minimize stress is huge, huge, huge. So those are just a couple of quick tips. And the last one, which Amy, we can close with and you can tag onto, because I know we talk about this a lot, is the number one thing that you can do to support your immune system is actually not take vitamin C. It's actually not even digestive support. It's joy. It's finding moments of shared joy with friends and family. And right now, while your kids are home, I know it's a transition and it's hard. But if you can, yesterday I got up and I went out after a meeting and my kids had grabbed the toilet paper, Amy, and they had wrapped all their dolls in toilet paper, pretending they were in the ER. Now, where there's a toilet paper shortage. And it was so tempting to be mad, but they didn't know. And we just laughed and we wadded the toilet paper back up and we put it back in the bathroom. And so finding joy. And you know what? Kids are the best way to bring us into joy because they'll laugh at so many things and they'll play games. And if you can embrace that, don't try to do homeschool if you're not a homeschooler. Just have fun with your kids until this thing settles. And so, and that's a big thing I talk about with my clients too. It's why it's such a full body picture. So I know we've been on a while. Amy, thank you. I would love to support anybody that feels like they are ready for a little extra help. I've offered Amy and all of you a complimentary strategy session so you can connect with me. We'll talk for 30 minutes. I'm going to help you identify some things in your life that maybe you could move in the direction of healing, as well as remove some things that are maybe harming you in that session. And then if you choose to move forward in coaching with me, then I would love that. And if not, I just want you to have some good tips that you can walk away from. So Amy, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. You guys, haven't we been blessed by all of this goodness? I hate to use the word juicy in this situation. It's juicy content that you're sharing. And so if you want all of the goodness that Kelly's sharing, the Food Move Poop Journal, and even more, and the complimentary strategy session, just type in the word poop, be brave and do it, and we'll share all that goodness with you. And thank you guys all for joining me on Free Friday. And let me see here. Join us next week. Our next live masterclass will be Friday, April 11th. Those are complimentary, but it's when we get into real juicy stuff. So if you'd like to register for the next one, you can type masterclass and I'll make sure you get that. But I want to make sure also that everyone has an opportunity to get into our upcoming online book club. Speaking of finding joy and eliminating stress in our lives, many of us are, I know, having trouble getting rid of that negative tape that's in your head, or you're finding that being positive just isn't working. So this is the final day to join before we close the registration. It starts April 1st, but this private Facebook group is where you're going to be finding weekly Facebook Lives, a 21-day brain detox app, and so much more. So just type in the comments detox if you're ready to switch on your brain, getting your mind under control. I'm Amy Miller again, and I am so glad that you joined me today. I help moms of little ones bring natural tools and resources into their everyday lives, simplifying life, health, and spirit so that they can spend time enjoying their family instead of worrying over all the things. So thank you guys for joining in, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.